Morning class, we're in John 3:19 through 21. It was a whole lot of theology thrown at you the last couple of weeks. So I thought we'd slow down for a bit and go old school OIA with these verses before I pick back up with some of the last couple of messages where we're talking about the will of God. We'll dig a bit more into that next time. We'll start a whole nother section, and I'm praying about which direction I want to take with it. But if someone could read John 3:19 through 21. John 3:19 through 21.
This is the judgment, that the light has come into the world, and men loved the darkness rather than the light, for their deeds were evil. For everyone who does evil hates the light, and does not come to the light for fear that his deeds will be exposed. But he who practices the truth comes to the light, so that his deeds may be manifested as having been wrought in God.
Thank you. All right, so I think everyone in here knows what these letters stand for, but just for a refresher, what's O?
Observation.
And what are we looking for with observation? Details. Just things that stand out to us in those verses. Because what stands out to Holland might not be what stands out to Libby, which might not be what stands out to Jamie, right? Where we can all observe the same thing, and we will, different things will point out to us, generally based on our own life and experiences and understanding. As an example, if I watch a medical show with my wife and they're doing something dramatic, where someone's doing chest compressions on the stretcher going down the hall, and she's like, I think I've done that once in 15 years. You know, that's not right. But then on like the other end, when it's some kind of takey computer guy and he's just hacking away, and I'm like, that's not what it is at all. You know, that's just technical gibberish. And so based on our own experiences and expertise, different things will stand out to us. What's I? Interpretation. So this is generally the why. Why is this person doing this? Why was this said? These generally are becomes the questions and our understanding of them. One of the things I always warn about with interpretation is we will take life in 2026 and overlay it into life in the Middle East in like 26 AD. And that's a lot of things different in 2,000 years worth of culture, which is why we dig into this. And then the third and most important one is
Application.
application. Why is this one so important?
That's how we're going to apply it to our lives.
Yeah. What it means to us. The gospel has to be more than intellectual assent to a handful of statements. It has to be something that foundationally changes the way we live our lives. If we don't apply the scriptures, that does not happen. So go ahead and take a minute, look at John 3:19 through 21, and let's look at some observations.
Condemnation.
All right, condemnation.
Mine, where he said this is the judgment, mine says verdict. I thought
Okay.
verdict was an interesting term.
Verdict or judgment. What else?
Light.
Light, that's what I was gonna say, he said
Yeah.
light.
Light is a recurring theme in the Gospel of John, and it's how it starts. In the beginning, was the Word, and it talks about being the light, and it's Jesus being the light all throughout John. You see that. Jesus even claims himself as the way, the truth, and the light.
Deeds.
Deeds, okay. What else?
Evil.
All right. To go along with light, there's a mention of darkness.
Exposed.
Exposed. Any others?
Hate.
Mine says.
Hate?
Yep.
Yep.
It's the last word in 20. Oh, deeds will be.
Let's just read it 19.
Practices the truth.
No, I just didn't go far enough.
All right. We'll put practicing right here. truth here.
And where it says practicing, I have lives.
Lives, I like that. Practicing lives. Anything else? I mean, this is plenty to work with,
Yeah, we
but
got lots. Do you want me to just put all the words for the verse? We observe all of them.
I think these are good to start with. Oh, put loved.
Oh, and I like the word plainly too, that it's plain, like it's, I gotta think of the word obvious, like that it may be seen plainly.
Let's go up to these three. They're all kind of tied in together. All right, so we're looking at, and this is the condemnation. Problem with starting in verse 19 is what? There were other verses before it. And so in 18, it says, he who believes in him, that is Christ, is not condemned. He who does not believe is condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of the only begotten Son. And this is the condemnation. So it's setting them up. It's like it's explaining this is what this is why they're being condemned. And so if we're going to interpret condemnation, what are we viewing that as? What?
Hell, judgment.
Hell,
separation.
you can say hell.
And that's where mine says verdict, cause it's like talks about them being condemned and verdict and gives a legality to it, like
Yeah.
you're standing trial and you have been found guilty.
Who's the judge?
Jesus.
God.
Yep. God is judge. When people say only God can judge me, that is 100% accurate statement. Most people do not use it in its proper context.
I think they forget that it's already.
Generally, they say only God can judge me, which means I don't have to listen to you, and I don't have to deal with any consequences for my actions.
Right, yes.
That's what they mean when they say that. That's also like when you're playing a board game with a little kid, and they shout, and you play the draw four Uno wild card, and they say that's not fair. It is fair because it's well within the rules.
They need to play with Holland. She'll school them. She doesn't even. She gets no little kids breaks.
That's right. There's no mercy in Uno.
And I will teach you how to lose.
There's only pain. Yeah.
When you lose,
Yeah. When we say that's not fair, we actually mean that is not tilted in my favor,
That's right.
and I reject it.
Absolutely.
Let's change the rules.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
exactly
pretty
what
much.
I mean. Yeah.
Only people named Glenn can play wild cards. Let's play that. That's the new Uno rule, right? But that doesn't change when you get older. That does not change when you get older. In any walk of life, in any church, in any job, in any family, you will see the people trying to say it's not fair and they want to change things. Here's the
Fairness
thing.
is very biased. It's an opinion.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very subjective.
When it's not biblically based.
Right.
So we see here that the condemnation is ultimately hell, which we talked about. That is eternal separation from God.
And the word is not diversity, but the implication is sin.
Yeah, yeah. Over here, evil will be sin. So we look at the beginning. This is the condemnation. That the light has come into the world. And how did the men respond? So light, Jesus is the light that came into the world.
Is it bad that I think of cockroaches like the light turns on?
Yes.
That's actually a really great depiction of
I
this.
think that is spot on.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And the light came into the world, and men scattered
So
like
cockroaches.
Yeah.
That's
What's the Greek
You
word
sound
for
like
cockroach?
Lazarus.
Why would we look that up? But it says that the men loved what?
Evil.
Evil.
Darkness.
Yes, of both.
They love darkness. Well, they like the darkness because they think it hides their evil.
Yeah.
They want to keep it hidden. You think about your kids, what do they do when they get in trouble or they're doing something bad? They go
They
and hide
hide.
in the corner, they're in the closet where it's dark, you can't see me eating this cookie. You know?
When you think about all the crimes that happen at night versus in the day,
Yeah.
like I don't know what the statistics are, and I'm not a police officer, but I've talked to a lot of them, and like I know the night shift at the emergency department is significantly crazier than the day shift, and also most night shift emergency nurse is believe in full moon bring crazy people out. And I don't know what the science may or not behind it, but there seems to be some evidence behind that.
We need Andrew here today.
Yeah, telling us
He's
what's
asleep.
telling us what's going on, or Charlie to tell us about his being a police officer on night shift. So that's the. But we talk about darkness. You talk about a natural inborn fear of the darkness. Like every kid went through a fear of the dark and needed a nightlight at some point. It seems, and this is not just a uniquely American thing. I've seen this in all over Asia.
Look at the Coen brothers.
In India and the Philippines, so historically we see that seems to be something ingrained in all of our humanity that understands darkness as being a undesirable thing.
Well, we've talked about it in here before, but darkness is not, like, it doesn't exist on its own as an absence of something, it's an absence of light. So you're actually fearing the absence of light, goodness. And so that's where the fear comes in, because it's a separation.
Yeah, absolutely. And it says the men did what with the darkness?
They loved it.
Men loved darkness. That's a tough one. So this is incredibly controversial statement. Yes and no. Okay. One of the big divisions between what we considered Reformed theology and Catholic Orthodoxy or Orthodox or even Wesleyan is an argument over this specific statement, because you get into the Reformation and some of the founders of the Reformation like Luther and Calvin, and we'll deep dive into this later, and they taught a concept called total depravity. And a lot of the teaching for the Reformation concept of the total depravity of man comes from John chapter 3. And so these essentially Catholicism, Orthodoxy, Wesleyans, and some other variations all deny this concept to some another. So it's just a refresher on total depravity. Total depravity teaches not that man is as wicked as he could possibly be at every possible moment. That's not the case, I don't think. Hardly anyone's like that. There may be a few people, but they would not be in the majority. But it does talk about all man being corrupt and being corrupt with sin and having an innate love of darkness and an innate sin nature rejection of the light. These two lean more of a neutral aspect of base level humanity because of the cross, and Reformed theology leans towards total depravity. We'll get more into that, but it comes from this. But mankind has a sin nature, and that means we have a default inclination to naturally reject the things of God on a spiritual level. Most people's objection to Christianity has nothing to do with the things they say. They have the objection to Christianity, whether they don't like the exclusivity of the cross, or they don't like what they claim is misogyny and homophobia that they find in the Old Testaments, or they don't like hypocrisy within church members, or they don't like people like famous prosperity gospel preachers that are essentially just selling spiritual power for money, which is nothing new about that. They don't like those things. But at their core, at their absolute core, when you dig through all the intellectual objections and you get to what actually bothers them, it's that at the end, it's that we love darkness. We don't want anyone telling us what we can and can't do.
had a cousin, and she said she struggled with, and she didn't say total depravity, but that was what it was. She did not think man was inherently evil or bad.
Yeah,
And she
yeah.
wanted to believe we came into the world as good.
Yeah.
And that
Or-
we're generally good at heart.
Or neutral, and we can choose in either direction. The reformers went around teaching that it was sola gratia, grace alone, that redeems us. And a lot of people walk away from the church once they get to that, because they don't like the idea of needing grace to be redeemed at its core. And I know people that have left this church over the years as well, and that's between them and the Lord. But my always come back, they go, you said this, and you teach this, and you teach this, and I'm like, I didn't say any of those things. If you want, I've got it all on video now. I can play it back, but it comes from the scriptures. So your objection is not with what I'm saying, it's what is written. And I didn't write it, And so you see a lot of controversy in this, but this is Jesus saying that men love darkness and that they reject the light, and that they do so because their deeds are evil. And it says everyone practicing evil hates the light. So it's not a mere dislike of hating the light. Hating the light, that's active. That's an active opposition. That is not a neutral of, you go to church, good for you. You go do your thing, I go do mine, right? It's not even a mild dislike. Like, you might have a particular preference for a type of food or a certain amount of pizza toppings or even the temperature in your house. But this is talking about active opposition. So not only do we love darkness, but we are actively opposed to the gospel and the light based on what Jesus is telling us. And why do we hate the light? It says, lest his deeds should be exposed. We don't want to get caught. Exposed. Busted. Every politician ever, when they're being interviewed on news channel of your preference, and they go, but you said this. I never said that. And then they play the video clips of them saying it over and over and over again for a series of months. Well, what even does that word even mean? What even is truth? That's AI faking this video. Yeah.
Mostly a peaceful protest.
Yeah. So
There's no web
CJ's my sugar bear, right? If there's sugar in the house, he wants to consume it, and he comes in, and I'm like, CJ, who ate the chocolate cake we weren't supposed to touch? It wasn't me. And his face is covered in chocolate cake, and in his chair is a bowl with chocolate cake and a fork, and there's chocolate on his clothes. Yeah, his deeds were exposed, right?
Yes.
All right, so we're already running out of time, so we'll get into the application. What does all this mean to us? How can we take this away and use it this afternoon or tomorrow?
We're responsible for what we know.
Yep. That's a good one. Take responsibilities for actions.
I kind of take that we are responsible for showing God's love and
Yep.
light through us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shining light and love, because it will stand out. What's this mean for our attempts to share the gospel with people? You can't logic someone into the cross.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can't force them to be saved. is
Yep.
What I kind of say.
You can bring the horse to water, but you can't
Yeah.
make it drink.
But you can invite them to church.
Yep. And you can love on them, and you can show them grace, and you can show them love, and you can share truth with them. But at the end of the day, we can't change hearts, because it's more than just an intellectual way of thinking. It's a spiritual battle when you're presenting the gospel.
I think along with accountability too, what Don was saying, you also have the fact that you can't hide things from God, like it comes, and He is light, it will come to light. So we need to be honest with Him about our feelings, emotions, all that.
And just as a warning for ourselves, if we find ourselves not wanting to be at church, not wanting to be in the Word, not wanting to be around other Christians, why are we running from the light? What is going on that we need to address? And that's why it's so important to reach out to people you haven't seen in a while. Maybe they're going through something really difficult. Maybe they need someone just to slap them upside the head and go, knock off that tomfoolishness. You know?
Or even in our own prayer life,
Yeah.
asking God, simply asking God
Yeah.
to reveal to us
Yeah.
what is going on with us.
Like David would pray in the Psalms, create a clean heart in me.
Yeah.
I like when people wanna talk about the Ten Commandments, but he really made it down to simply one thing: believe in Him.
Yeah.
He says, believe
Yeah.
in Him.
Absolutely. All right, I hear the little kids outside the door, so let's close with a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, for an opportunity just to study your word for a little bit. And as we go into this Mother's Day service, may you be glorified. In Jesus' name, amen.